Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Conscious Parenting. And today we're missing Elle, but she's going to join us hopefully next month. She had actually, she was a judge for elections. She was an election judge today. So we excused her. So she's not going to be here until next month. But I have the other fabulous moms here, Angelique, Hilary, and Deanna. And today the topic that I picked, or we all picked for you guys, was first of all to share with you what each of our concept is, what a mom is, what a parent is, and what we think, and also going from there to the concept that everybody's life is a gift. We come here, this life for all of us is a gift, but I think more so for parents and moms in particular. We birth the child and we give them that gift of life, but then we try to grab onto them, hold on to it, control it, and out of fear, out of worry, out of all those things that moms do. It's like and and at some point we gotta let go and gift them back their lives and say, here you go, it's your life, it's not mine. And what does that look like? And some of us, I think, most people look at it as they have until high school to get there, and then after that they can let go. Some parents never fully let go, and some, like I had to do recently, was to learn to let go much sooner, right before he's entering high school. Again, God bless him. He always pushes me to, hey mom, you're sitting idle. Let me give you something. You look like you need a challenge, mom. Here you go. How about this one? So that's where I am, and yeah, it was a good thing to get back to me and realize all that. So the first thing, I guess, for me, I'll go ahead and start the conversation of what I think mom and a parent is. What I've come to learn is truly, I think it's a gift for us, as well as, like I said, giving birth and creating life. And also being able to realize that we're here just to guide and give them the basics and then let go and free form. And again, like, here's yours, here you are. And I think part of the other challenge why I picked this topic is I've had a couple of clients, and recently someone that I know, a friend, that their child passed away, and I think all of them, actually, it's interesting. Most of even the clients that came, the kids are in their like 19, 20, 21 range. And I think that's another challenge, that what happens, what do we face when something like that happens to us. And that's why it made me think, what is our function as a parent, as a mom, especially in those situations when they come about, what happens to our lives. So here you go. That was my 2 cents, and now I'm passing it on. Where should we go? I'm going to go down this time. Hilary.
Do it.
There you go.
Yes. Um, that's a
What
really,
would you like to share? Yeah.
well, I was just, that's a really heavy, I think there's a lot more of that losing children right now,
Mm-hmm.
young adults. So a role as mom and parent, I think it wasn't honestly until I started working with you too, said that I fully grasped the concept of, I helped kind of get you here in your form. But the journey is yours, and I'm here to support you and hold your hand when you need it, and offer advice or guidance, and also to provide some rules and raise you to be, a good member of society.
Mhm.
um, Kind and loving, and all the things that that my family, our small family, want to instill. And I know other families operate differently. I struggle a lot with knowing where to let go. The advice I was given from his therapist was, if it's something that's going to put him in danger, and the fact that his brain is not fully developed here at age 16, then it is my responsibility to step in, because I have certainly
Yeah.
been on the planet longer. So just working through, it's not as cut and dry as you would think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And for each kid is different.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're kids I've seen. Just among I compare. A lot of kids come and go through our house, and I see them. There's some that really they're. I call them no stress. Like they wouldn't do anything that you deem dangerous. Like they're easygoing, just like a coasting. And there's some that are like, oh, you just got like one of them being Ilya every time. Where is this going? Yeah, they're all different. So the danger zone for each one, I guess even the one that I consider coasting, maybe to the parents, they probably have some danger zones that they worry about, opposite of what I would consider. Yeah. All right, Deanna.
I thought you were going cat a corner.
No,
Um,
no, no, I'm going this way.
um, I love what Hilary just said. I'm getting to live this out loud. Um, as Elijah is now 18 and going out on his own, and he is teaching in his way, more like insisting on what the line is. Because when I cross the line, a loud alarm goes out, like swat. In a, in a, I used to try to figure it out. Now I realize that I'm trying to figure out me, right? I mean, that's really what this conversation is when we talk about, ourselves as mothers, as parents. You know, so much of what we're taught is it's about the kid.
Mhm.
It's about, what are we going to do for them? What do they need them to teach us? What do we need to teach them? But it's, even though we talk about it that way, it's really about us. It's about our insecurities. It's about our need for control. Yes, we want them to be safe because we love them. We brought them here. We certainly don't want them to leave here early. Our definition of early, not the universe or God's, by the way, right? And something Atusa sent me recently was this little film clip that, and she sent it to kind of reinforce messages for my child. But the message was about living your authentic life. And the guy basically said he'd rather, for him, I'm not saying this is the case for everybody, he would rather take a very short, authentic life over a long one that is forced upon him, where he's not forced, where he's not able to choose his expression and choose his life experience. So that's a little hard for me because I feel like as a parent, our job is to get them to well beyond when we leave here and into the hundreds if we can. So that has been a big part, besides in addition to teaching, but that's the thing you worry about, those safety issues. And it's in some sense, when we talk about the kids that you see the need in, at least you see the need, right? It's the worries that pop up in the kids that you may not see it in, right? You don't have the physical cues. You may not have the emotional cues. And still, things happen. Accidents happen. Life happens. And they are promised to us for a time. And some of my friends, I bless them, have only had a very, short time with their children. And even as a mom at 80 who loses a child at 50, it's still not enough. So I'm a bit emotional about it. I think just at this time in particular, thinking about that, and when I wanted to become a mom and when I wanted to get married, that was like, I'm realizing these days, that really was my life dream, my life purpose was to be a mom, to have a family that's mine, built the way I would choose to express myself. So the thought of losing any aspect of that is surreal. So I can't even begin to imagine what mothers who have lost, either through physical or through choosing or through any other situation. But anyway, what I was going to say is when I put that wish forth, I said, just a day. If I could, at 35, I was saying just a day. Like if I could just have a day. But now that I have those things, I'm like, F that. So there's a wonderful value of appreciation and gratitude. And I probably way overspent my time, but it's just, I can appreciate that I've had 18 years and however many days that represents. And I'm looking to have a lot more, but that's my biggest fear. And I think if I could just be present, back to Hilary's definition, uh, as long as he's safe, then everything else goes. Sorry, guys. Anyway.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Angelique, your definition, being a mom.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't use a lot of P words. You said present, Deanna, just now, and all these P words started popping up all of a sudden. So, as a mom, I try not to project. So, I try not to project my insecurities, my worries, my angst onto my daughter who's 13. So that she has a safe space to be herself. Um, I want my daughter to have a personal experience. So, in order for her to have her own personal experience, for me to respect her personal space, I need to give guidance, but also pull back. And again, pulling back on and not being a projector. So, understanding that every human has their own personal experience, they see things through their perspective and through their lens. Um, you know, we all use a lot of different words, safety, making sure that they're okay and guidance. And if I could put that into one word is as mothers, we are protectors. We just want to protect and wrap around our children. We definitely do want the best for them. We don't want them to stray away. We want to protect them. We think of, when we have a list of like mom and all of the adjectives around mom and all the adjectives around dad, we say dads are, the protector and the provider. That's another P word. So I feel that as moms, and, I want to say a single woman who's a parent because her father is so involved. I see myself as a protector and a provider for my daughter. And I see that as a role of us as moms. So I know I threw out a lot of P words just as I was
Those are good
thinking
P
of.
words. Those are good
I
P
love
words.
Right. The alliteration. But
No, great P words.
yeah. So again, I don't want to project anything of myself onto my daughter. I want her, as well as, again, every single human, to have their personal experience and to respect that. And then just to be a provider and protector over my baby girl. And again, trusting that I did what I did and could what I could so that when she does enter into the world, not at 18, but when she just goes to school, I mean, that's entering into the world without me, or when she goes to her friend's house, that she's making very smart decisions and choices based upon, just the guidance and the guardrails that I set up, but allow her to freely move within those. Yeah.
I think part of it is that finding that balance between protector and not projecting, though, because when the
Yeah.
protector comes, a lot of times it's our fears that
Exactly.
we want to go protect, So again, do I want to project this fear on them? Because it is and I notice we see a little bit differently again because of our own experiences, because we've lived a longer life, whatever. So we quite not seeing it through their lens, but a different lens. And so it's, where do we find that balance to, and it is partly letting go and trusting the world and the universe that, I gotta trust she is here for the life that they're here, however long that is, and that whatever that entails, all I can do is guide and step back. And there's some points that we do protect and we come. I mean, I always ask Ilya, he knows, he's like, Mom, I know you got my back, because God help whoever comes after me, you're gonna be there. But again, that's a different kind of protection than going in there, always trying to make sure no harm comes to him, because it's out there and he has to live that life and it has to come and see him, just like it saw me. I had those experiences. If he's meant to have it, he's going to have it. So I think for me, I find out, I with the projection, what you said, I like that. It's like, if it's my fear, I try to say, okay, that I need to go hands off. I need to trust, I need to hands off. But if it's a real safety issue, it's a different scenario, like what Hilary was saying, because safety becomes, is he going to harm himself? Is he, because these are real things, kids get into, they're going to have they get into situations in their lives, or parts during the parts of their life that they have so much emotions going on, so much going on in their lives, at school, bullying, whatever is going on, that safety becomes, are they going to harm themselves? Are they going to harm somebody else? Are they going to harm me? And that's where the safety comes in, but not so much the, I have this fear, let me go protect. So
I'm curious to hear, because I too love what Angelique said, and I'm curious to hear the your choice of P words was phenomenal. A P that doesn't sound like a P. But that said, I love what you said about the projection, and tying it in with what Atusa's saying. My challenge, it's like, so even with safety and projection, I can lose sight of the line. So I'm curious, Angelique, since you have, it seemed to have a wonderfully open space that you give your child, something that I think I'm just now getting to. I'm not saying I was an overbearing parent by a long shot, especially according to African American community traditional old school stuff.
Right, right.
So I just need to put that out there. But they would call me the loose one. That said, how do you do that if you are when you can't distinguish safety from protection? Because there's imagined fear, and then there's what you know your child to be surrounded by that they may not be in, but you get what I'm like. How do you do that?
It's hard, and I'm trying to still figure it out. And you said something amazing earlier, in that it's not so much on the child, it's more a reflection within us. So I'm thinking of, how do I approach different situation? How can I word it so that it's relatable to a 13-year-old, not to inject fear into her, like in the news. It feels like they feed us with fear and then sell us a product. Like, hey, we have a solution for this. And I don't want to do that with my daughter and like feed her with fear, but then give her the solution. I would like to say, hey, this is what's kind of going on in our world. Let's talk through this. You kind of see the difference in how the delivery is.
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
No, keep going. I just want you to
solution. Okay, yeah, I don't want to, again, gosh, again, using that news feed and then market to sell. I don't always want to provide a solution. Although as parents, we do want to give the advice, the wisdom, the recommendations, because we have, more time on earth and more experiences to pull from. But allow them to talk through it. So again, you're respecting their perspective and their perception from their lens. And then say, hey, I remember when I was 13, yeah, times are a little different, but I remember when I was that age, and that's how I kind of approached it, but I approached it this other way too. But you, 13-year-old in 2022, you have exposure to more social media, more technology, more this and more that. So you tell me what's going on in a 13-year-old world, and how can we work through so that we could have, so that you feel safe. And maybe not in those exact words, but let's talk through this and come to a solution together. I don't want to say it's like a partnership with your kids, but it's like really having a relationship with your kids, and really like not this I'm here, you're here, I'm telling you. It's more of a partnership and a collaboration with your child.
Yeah.
Hilary,
I like that.
Oh, I'm just listening.
What are your thoughts?
I've been doing it all wrong.
You have not
figuring it out.
You have not.
It's funny because when you talked about Angelique about not projecting your fears, I immediately like 400 references of me projecting my fears just tumbled right into my brain. So I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. Wow, he's 16. Maybe I can start now.
Hey, at any time you start, it's a good time to start. Don't worry about it.
Yep, so I'm starting today, so thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I do share a lot of my personal experiences, or I will project my fears quite eloquently, and then I'll say, I'm just saying this because this is what I've experienced. So,
but that is different than projecting your fears, though. And because I've had similar conversations with Ilya, I say, okay, from my view, from where I'm sitting, this is what I'm seeing. And it is my fear. And I'm not telling you don't do this. I'm just telling you, this is what I see. And I could be totally wrong. So I think that's different than projecting your fears. I would say projecting your fears is when you go in guns blazing, that like, because you are fearing something, then you try to grab and control and say, thou shalt not,
I do that too. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
But is that for safety? Is that for safety, or do you go and just like?
Well, part of it is, I think, situationally driven in that when he was 12, we had a health scare, and then, a school shooting. And, so now there's like this hyper vigilance coming in the world that, I mean, even things like, please wear your suntan lotion because remember your grandmother, she got melanoma. And then
I love it.
So, yeah, anyway, starting today. Thank you, Angelique.
Yes. No. You need to chill more. Let go.
I do. Should I bring in the wine?
Exactly. I was going to suggest it's time for wine. No, because at some point, and that's, I think, the biggest lesson for everybody is, and I did bring it, some heaviness into it with the clients and people I know that they've lost their kids, because I think we do have to just enjoy the time we have with them, because we don't know when our time is going to end. We don't know when their time is going to end. And also part of that is that experience and exchange that you can have together. And what does that look like together if you're communicating and letting them go and live their lives to a point, again, as long as those safety things, I think, are met, that they're not harming themselves, they're not going to harm somebody else, physical harm to themselves, physical harm to someone else, or you. And then from that space, okay, I'm let's play with this. And every day I think it's a play. It's like, let's play with this. What are we molding today? What are we doing today? Because as you know, we are changing. Deanna mentioned this. It is a they're here also to teach us and show us ourselves and what our triggers, and to your point, what are my fears. And at the same time, we are changing, releasing and healing, and as we're doing that, they are doing that as well. So each new day coming together and seeing, hey, I'm a new person, you're a new person. So where do we go from here? What do we need? How does this look like today?
Yeah.
Because it truly, I mean, I've seen it with Ilya. It's like every day I look at him, and just even recently, I mean, he went through so much, and I like to pat myself on the shoulder too. From like I released my stuff and the generational stuff that came with me, and did a lot of healing work on him and through him for his father even. And now, like, all of a sudden, they went from a period of really no relationship or uncomfortable relationship to now, like, I'm just like, wow. Well, he's got a good relationship with his dad now. I mean, like, he actually enjoys the time, and they chit chat and do things, and um, it just shifted. So I cannot, and that's the reason I'm like, I cannot look at this kid and say, hey, you're the kid from yesterday or a month before. So every day, I think for all of us, the challenge is to remind ourselves, I'm a new person. This is a new person. Where do we go from here?
And I think it's beautiful. I mean, to put a pin in that point around they're changing, we're changing, and everything around them is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't help in that protective mode to say, well, that corner was dangerous 10 years ago. It sure as hell must be dangerous right now. You know, without being able to see something different, and something different from the lens of where they are. And the really fine point, Angelique, I got to give you some dap today, because
Oh,
I'm just like,
I
that
was
was
feeding off
good.
of everyone else. That's what you get for
No,
going
I'm like,
last.
I've gotten something from everybody, which is always the case on this. I'm like, notes. Can we take notes and still be on camera? Um, at the end of the day, though, there was a subtlety that I just really heard for the first time, when you said you start with, what are you experiencing? What are you seeing? What are your fears? What is your perception?
Mhm.
Oh, sweetie, like even crossing the street, right? We taught them, oh, go to the street, look left, look right, look left again, and cross. But, never have I ever, and I don't, it's not ever, ever, right? I mean, it's no, it's not ever, ever. But at the end of the day, I don't start with that. Like,
Yeah.
what is I'm doing it now because of that magic number. But as you pointed out, it can start at 13, it can start at 2.
Mhm.
Of what is your perception first. I'm not saying I don't go there, but I start with my story, what happened to me back
Yeah.
when I was 2, and how I almost got hit by a car, and how I'm trying to save you from the same fate.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, depending on how egregious or serious or scary the situation is, then maybe I might elicit. Now, what do you think about that? About what I said, right? And
Mhm.
about what's going on. Not it, because so a friend recently advised me, it was a beautiful, the best advice, and I didn't fully understand it till this moment. You're gonna start this is what you're gonna do. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna start being his friend. Now, friend, especially we talk about parent friend,
Yes.
he's into danger mode. So I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. But what he meant, well, I said, you got to describe. What he meant was, he said, you are going to listen to everything he says, and you're not going to crack your mouth to share an opinion until you've heard what he's trying to tell you about his circumstances and the situation and the choices that he's trying to figure out and make. And that still wasn't clear to me, by the way, until this a couple of weeks ago, till this moment that, oh, that's not a secondary place. We can start with that. We can start with that. And then,
Active listening.
right,
Active listening.
right.
Yeah.
And then, but then from that place, we can share ourselves in a more direct, pointed way that is accretive and additive. And based off of where they are versus where we've been. So when we try to figure out that line between I'm scared out my wits end and I'm snatching you off the curb, you know, if there's time for that conversation, right? Then
Yeah.
then it's maybe not as, it still can be a very dire situation,
Yeah.
but we could be coming at it from a different way. So that's the subtle thing I got there. Thank you.
And we don't have to wait for a situation to have these conversations. It could just be, a drive to Chick-fil-A and you said something right there about we're not our kids' friends, but how can I put this? Think of when you have a conversation with your friend. You don't have to wait for a situation to have a conversation with a friend. You just have a conversation.
Right.
It's a relationship with the kids.
Right.
And we don't have to wait for something to happen in order to have that talk. Honestly, it's probably best received when the situation's not even present. And going back to our friendships and, then translating it to our kids, think of when we do talk to a friend of ours or a coworker. Matter of fact, coworkers, when you go back into the office after a weekend, you say something and then that coworker just cuts in and just says, well, I did this and I did that and I recommend this and I recommend, and they completely disregard everything that you may have asked or said or anything. It becomes all about me, 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 and you tune them out. And I think we do that sometimes with our kids. They may say one thing or ask one thing or, one sentence, and then we do an I dump. Well, I do this, and my recommendation is this, and here's a solution for this. The kid's checking out.
I can say,
I mean, we do this with our peers, but kids will do this with us. And if they ask something, I want to say, ask a question with a question, and that's how active listening starts to happen. And there's a change in dialogue. And then and again, Deanna, going back to, actually listening to them and hearing their perspective is letting them just talk and vent. And sometimes they may go off the rails, but sometimes when they go off the rails, they're actually getting to the core of the issue. Let them go off the rails. Don't cut them off. Let them go off the rails, because somewhere in that is really the underlying issue. And then we can have a conversation about that.
It's hard sometimes because the flip of the switch is, Lord, my child is listening to me. And I got 5 minutes.
If that.
But what you say, really hits home of when we're present and let it unfold. And I've seen that happen with Elijah even before now. I just don't think I recognize the difference that when we actually let it unfold, even if it unfolds for 5 minutes, and I'm not the magic one who has to bring the solution, right? I have seen it go places that I was totally surprised at, and receive information that I would not have otherwise gotten if I just hadn't been willing to be present, even in my discomfort. Just be present.
Yeah.
There's that word again, present.
Yeah. And just like us, when you talk to a friend and you just say, hey, I want to vent, I want to just project all the stuff that's going on inside. When you're talking, you get to see and get your own solution, get your own what you were looking for. with the kids is the same thing. I mean, I find that with Ilya, sometimes he comes and says, I just want to vent. And then he starts pacing back and forth and talking and talking and talking. And I'm just sitting there. And then at the end of that conversation, he's like, okay, now I see, then he gets to a place that he sees himself. And then he goes, he's like, okay, that was a good conversation. I didn't even do anything.
Right.
So yeah, let's have more of these.
I'll work yourself out.
Yeah. Hilary, last points, last comments, anything else you want to share, bring about?
I don't. I actually have to go pick up the little bugger who still doesn't have his license.
Go. Soon. Get ready for that.
I know. But thank you all. This is always, I learn a ton. Really,
So do I, Hilary. So do I. Yeah. From you, girl. Really.
I love you girls, ladies.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Angelique. Thank
Have
you, Chica.
fun.
Thank you, Hilary. Thank you.
Go
Thank
run,
you.
Hilary.
I will.
Bye. Bye.